Good morning from Georgia. It is day 4 of my cross-country road trip, and today I am visiting filming locations from The Vampire Diaries, The Originals, and Legacies. My first stop of the day is at the Wickery Bridge. This is an iconic location from The Vampire Diaries. This is where Elena's parents were killed in a car accident and Elena was saved, but it's also where Elena was killed in a car accident and became a vampire. Basically, nothing happy happens at the Wickery Bridge. Matt and Elena come around this corner and see Rebecca standing in the middle of the street. I would not recommend doing that. There's a lot of traffic on this road, even though it doesn't look like it here. They go over the side of the bridge. Elena becomes a vampire. When The Vampire Diaries first started, I boycotted the show because I was living in a different town in the South that had a big film industry where most of us thought The Vampire Diaries was going to come film, but it didn't, so I ended up not watching it. Fast forward a few years, I got an internship with a music supervision company that the music supervisor for The Vampire Diaries uses on occasion. Right when I started, they had just landed a huge featured song on the show. All the way at the end of the episode, volume up, you could hear it clearly. I saw that scene, and it was Matt and Elena on the Wickery Bridge, and I didn't watch it again until the finale of that same season, season 3. Music supervisors have to legally clear the music before it goes onto the air, and sometimes they don't know up until pretty close to when it airs whether maybe some of the bigger songs are going to clear or not. So sometimes they have to have a backup plan, and that's where we came in. I had worked on a pitch just in case a certain song from the end of the finale did not clear in time. So I wanted to watch that episode and see the song I was trying to replace. After I watched that episode, I was hooked. I started from the beginning and binged those first 3 seasons, and I've been watching all of the shows in the universe ever since. There are multiple locations used as Mystic Falls High for The Vampire Diaries, The Originals, and Legacies, but the most popular one to visit is Athens Technical College in Monroe, Georgia. It has been more than 10 years since the series started, and it has been 4 since it ended, and this place is still decorated for The Vampire Diaries. The interiors for the high school would have been built on a soundstage, and I've also read that sometimes production would take the Mystic Falls High logo and put it on walls other places, near their production facility, at their production facility, so they could film a little bit closer. We also saw this football field from this location, though, when the boys played football. Remember that? But then Damon killed the coach, so that put a damper on it, and we didn't hear too much about football again. Legacies, though, recently used this location as part of a prison world where Landon gets turned to ash by a zombie dragon and then Hope decapitates the necromancer. Something to keep in mind when you're visiting filming locations. People are aware in these areas that their businesses or their homes have been used on TV, but it's important to be respectful of those real people that live or work in those areas. For instance, one of the locations listed for Legacies is a real high school. It's a weekday. I am not going to go traipsing around a high school trying to figure out exactly what scenes filmed there. So I just kind of drove past it, and that was it. I did not go trying to figure out exactly what they used it for. My guess, though, is that it was either part of Mystic Falls High or the Salvatore School during the season 2 football episode of Legacies. If you know, leave a comment. When it comes to the Salvatore School, originally, the Salvatore boarding house on The Vampire Diaries was a different location, but that has since been torn down. For Legacies, they use something called Kent Rock Manor as the Salvatore Boarding School. It was an event venue, but from what I can tell now, it is a private residence, and they usually have set watch outside because they tend to keep it decorated and they film there fairly often. So you don't want to go all the way up to the gates, and most of the time you can't because someone is outside, but you can take pictures from across the street. I asked set watch, and that's what they told me. I ended up not even getting out of my car. I have a fear of getting in trouble, so I asked permission before I took a picture. In the later seasons of The Vampire Diaries, Elena, Caroline, and Bonnie attended Whitmore College. Kind of attended Whitmore College. Okay, they went to a couple classes, but either way, it's really a college in Oxford, Georgia. I did not spend a lot of time here, but this was really easy to find off of the visitor parking area. And just look around this quad. This is where Caroline and Elena moved into college.
and the ghost of Bonnie watches them. Eventually she gets to be a student too.
Last time I came through this area, the lovely lady who runs the alley, which is the store underneath the Mystic Grill, told me that I should check out Bell's Discount Grocery because it's a location not many people think to go to, but it is the grocery store from the 1994 Prison World, and it's where Damon and Bonnie realize they are not alone.
One of the things to tip them off are rides outside that start on their own. Those were added by production. We also see Damon's car outside. Damon is still reluctant to realize they're not alone.
We are still in a pandemic, so I did not go inside of a grocery store in Georgia. Last time I was driving through, I was in Georgia when I ran out of water, and I waited until I got to a different state. I basically lived off of Diet Pepsi for a full day until I was in a state where I felt comfortable going into a grocery store.
Now, the most recognizable set of them all, the town square. Mystic Falls, Virginia is really Covington, Georgia, and this town square was home to all of the major events. We would have had Founders Day here, and movie nights, and end of summer barbecues. And if you haven't seen the Salvatore the Musical episode of Legacies, y'all, it's fantastic, and I was singing Welcome to Mystic Falls the whole time I was wandering around here. On the originals, this is where they had a jazz festival where Klaus wants to watch his daughter dance with a townie, and on Legacies, Freya was reunited with Hope at the Commonwealth Day Festival here too. Speaking of Legacies, right underneath this tree would have been the Malivore portal that Hope had to keep watch over pretty frequently in season 2. She and Lizzie even got trapped in the 80s. They had to find a clue at the clue store next to the Mystic Grill. The Mystic Grill is now a real restaurant. It was a fictional restaurant on the Vampire Diaries. The inside of it would have been on a soundstage, and this would have been the outside, right next to the clock tower. If you go eat at the Mystic Grill, I recommend the Clock Tower Burger. It was really good, and named after this. Underneath the Mystic Grill is a gift shop called The Alley. They have great photo ops. It is a filming location. They are really friendly and will tell you all sorts of stories. Definitely check it out. They have great costumes that were worn on the show, and their merchandise personally was my favorite. But there's also great stuff at the gift shop across the street from the clock tower. That one is run by the Tours, and it was also a filming location for Legacies when they have to get graffiti off the windows. Even though the Vampire Diaries ended several years ago and Legacies only uses this on occasion, there are still signs left over, like the Grace and Gilbert one and the Elena Salvatore one, which was seen in the originals.
I have made it to the area where a lot of the homes from the Vampire Diaries are. Now, keep in mind, I know I mentioned this before when I talked about the schools, but same thing again, please be respectful if you're going to visit these homes. Stay on the sidewalk. You really don't need to get up on someone's front porch that lives in a home. Okay, so literally right as I was recording that about being respectful of the people's homes that live there, I started to approach Elena's house and looked outside, and the little kids who lived there were outside selling Girl Scout cookies. So you know what I did? I put away my camera and I bought some tag-alongs. So I will not be showing y'all Elena and Caroline's house right at this moment, but when I come back to this area tomorrow, maybe no one will be outside and I can just walk by and take video from the sidewalk.
As I walked past the Lockwood Mansion, which is right down the street, I did see a tour cart coming out. If you take the tour, you get to go behind the gates and go on the grounds of the Lockwood Mansion. I planned on getting takeout from the barbecue place right in the town square that I had read would vamp up your food, but not a single customer or employee was wearing a mask, so I promptly turned around. I ordered online from a place closer to my hotel called Flavor Barbecue in Conyers. These were the best onion rings I'd ever had. I highly recommend, especially for staying in Conyers.
I am back in Covington for the evening, taking a look around here. While it's dark, it's so pretty at night.
When I see the clock tower at night, I think of the series finale of the Vampire Diaries when Hellfire starts shooting out of the clock tower. And then for Legacies, I think of Lizzie talking to herself at the Mystic Grill into a spoon. She sees Landon carrying a sword and yells at him, "Why are you carrying a sword?" Just the way she says it is hilarious. She takes it from him, stabs him, ends up possessed, and stuck to that tree. If you have not seen my first trip to Covington, y'all check it out. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what tree that was.
I'm gonna grab some ice cream and take it back to the hotel to watch the new episode of Legacies that comes on tonight. I made it back to my hotel. right in time for the show with like 2 minutes to spare. So I was good. Even if it had taken a couple extra minutes, I only would have missed the previously on. Then I get back and this happened. The TV doesn't want to play the CW. It'll play literally any other channel. Want to watch PBS? Sure, no problem. Want to watch Legacies? Sorry, too bad. So I guess I'll go back to editing my Roswell vlog and then watch it in an hour when it goes onto the DVR on my iPad. Okay, day 2 in Covington, day 5 of the trip. Yeah, day 5. I'm gonna attempt again to go check out the houses respectfully without going on anyone's porch, and maybe today the Girl Scouts will be in school and no one will be outside.
The main houses are really easy to find walking from the town square. If you're looking towards Mystic Grill, turn right. Head straight down that street, and 2 blocks later you'll find Elena's house. Home to one of my favorite scenes between her and Damon, where he says, if I'm going to feel guilty about something, I'm going to feel guilty about this. Kisses her on her front porch. She later burns down the house with her brother's body inside. Caroline's house is right next door, even though we don't see it quite as often, and they're only a few steps away from the Lockwood Mansion. There's Elena's house on the left, Caroline's on the right, and the Lockwood Mansion.
If you are using one of the blogs that has filming locations listed and it is from before July of 2020, it's going to have the wrong location listed for where to find the Welcome to Mystic Falls sign. So I'm going to show you where it is now that it has moved.
If you are facing the Lockwood Mansion, turn around, head back towards the town square. 1 block in, you'll find Oak Street. That is where the new visitor center is, and that's also now where the tours leave from, and that sign's going to be right outside. This is only about another block away from where Scoops, the ice cream shop, is, right on the corner of the town square. I would love to take this tour. I myself, in non-COVID times, am a tour guide in California. I want to take this really badly, just not now.
I am now in Conyers, Georgia, in the Old Town historic area of Conyers. And this area played New Orleans, Louisiana for the series, The Originals.
First thing to do when you get into town, head into the Welcome Center. The ladies that work in there are so nice and lovely to talk to. They have these brochures that show you the locations where filming happened. They are really easy to read on this map and have pictures for reference. Also, they have props from the show. The Sandwich Factory is Rousseau's bar. That's probably the most recognizable spot on this street, but the entire area here was frequently used as New Orleans. It also played Kansas in the episode of Legacies when Landon goes to try and find his mother. Directly across the street from Rousseau's, aka the Sandwich Factory, is Simply Naked. That is the voodoo shop. We see Haley outside in this picture. The Celtic Tavern was used as a pub on the show, and this entire street just has a New Orleans feel to it. Here's a scene from Mardi Gras. Don't forget to look in all of the alleyways. Lots of drama happens on the originals in the alleyways, and especially this one in between the art store and the real estate office. This is the entrance to the Michelson compound, and this is where Haley is kidnapped. There was another family looking around, and they saw that this was not on the map, but I was taking pictures, and they said, "Oh, this must be something." I said, "It's where Haley's kidnapped." And the mom goes, "Wait, Haley was kidnapped?" Oops. Sorry for the spoiler. It is possible to visit all of these locations in one day. I plugged all the locations I plan on visiting into Google Maps and then positioned them to make a big loop. I will post all of the addresses below, but this is my route that I took.
That is a wrap on Georgia. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it helpful if you are headed towards Covington or Conyers yourself. And I have added some resources to the description box below that I use to help me find some of these addresses. Don't forget, some of them, though, have become a little outdated, and I have updated those in the description box as well. Don't forget to subscribe. Part 3 coming out soon.